And a very happy Monday to you at 12:08 in the West. It's the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wang is back from vacation and in Culver City.
John, in her first interview since becoming the mayor of Oakland, Barbara Lee, Speaks for Me, was asked what she thinks about Kamala Harris dropping out of the governor's race.
Well, our Vice President Harris, she's a good friend of mine, and her decision-making process, I know, was very thorough. And I do know that she made the best decision, not only for herself, but I think for the country. And I respect her decision and look forward to our continuing work together.
Yeah. Are you going to get her book when it comes out in September?
Absolutely.
I thought she was going to throw a quite frankly in there.
She has one of those later.
Absolutely.
800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, Randy, the big news while you were gone is that we have a new poll out for governor here in the state of California, and sitting on top of the mountain in first place is former Orange County Congresswoman Katie Porter. If the election were held today, she would be the next governor of the state of California.
For more on that poll from Inside California Politics and Emerson College, here is Fox 40 in Sacramento.
Brand new exclusive survey of voters from Inside California Politics and Emerson College sheds new light on the race to be California's next governor. That poll is the first statewide survey asking voters who they'll support now that former Vice President Kamala Harris announced she is not running for California governor. Thanks for sticking with us for Fox 40 News at 4:30. I'm Riley Carroll. The poll also asking Californians if they back statewide mid-decade redistricting efforts. Fox 40.
How many of those respondents even understood what that means?
0%.
Fox 40 Capital reporter Eitan Wallace breaks down those results.
Just over 1 week since former Vice President Kamala Harris announced she will not run for California governor, a new exclusive poll from Emerson College and Inside California Politics shows who Californians are leaning toward in the crowded race. Leading the pack, Democrat former Orange County Congressmember Katie Porter with 18%.
Katie Porter's almost got a quarter.
And listen to this. According to Politico this morning, she's starting to wrap up, or I guess I should say she's starting to attract all of the big donors from Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is now starting to pony up for Katie.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
But she still doesn't take corporate PAC money, right?
Of course not. She just takes it from the same people individually.
Behind her, author and former Fox News personality, Republican Steve Hilton with 12%.
Hey, look at that.
Steve Hilton winning the silver.
Of all the people that are running for governor, you could argue he has been the most visible actually campaigning, going up and down the state and posting videos.
Well, not if you count those videos that Antonio Villaraigosa puts up from the grocery store.
You know what? I think I emailed myself one from last week. I'll have to pull that for later in the show.
And coming in the top three, Riverside County.
On vacation, I can't help myself. I start flagging stuff. Oh, this will be good next week.
Well, every time he puts up a new video, it's a video of Antonio Villaraigosa at a different store buying different items. He was shopping for eggs before. He was shopping for gasoline before. I think the next one will be Antonio Villaraigosa shopping for sex toys because he plans on going to the WNBA game.
And coming in the top three, Riverside County Sheriff Republican Chad Bianco with 7%. Matt Taglia helped conduct the poll.
We're not surprised to see Porter in the lead with Harris out of the race. We tested this a couple different ways previously, and we found that with Harris out, Katie Porter would be in the lead.
In August,
think about the fact that you have several longtime statewide officials that are running that nobody knows who they are.
No. Betty Yee, are you kidding me? Tony Thurman? Any of the Tonys, for that matter.
In August,
Yeah, of all the Tonys, Villaraigosa has the most name ID, but that's not for a good reason. It's for that Lakers scandal.
I can't believe he had a printer in the back of his car.
He would print out official deeds to every big event in town, so he had a reason to go there as mayor.
And tell him I didn't even know that they had such a thing as battery-operated printers.
So between that and the affair with the Telemundo reporter, a lot of people still remember the name Antonio Villaraigosa. I think I remember the reporter's name, too. Nerfala Salinas.
Well, she was one of them.
In August, this is really about whose name do you recognize, then I think Katie Porter does have, as we see, the advantage.
Rounding out the top 5, each with 5% or less, former Los Angeles Mayor, Democrat Antonio Villaraigosa. And for the first time, voters were asked whether they'd support businessman and former L.A. mayoral candidate Rick Caruso should he decide to run for governor. In this survey, he received 4% support, something Loyola Law School professor Jessica Levinson says is noteworthy.
When somebody has yet to declare and they're in the top 5, they have to feel pretty good about those numbers.
How do you feel about that, Tony Atkins?
Oh, she's got to be breaking every glass in her house.
And now this poll was conducted before Eleni Kanalakis said that she's not running and she wants to run for treasurer instead. But even then, Eleni Kanalakis wasn't in the top 5.
I really, really, really would like to know what happened there, because she was going to be sitting in the catbird seat, and right when all the cards broke her way, she dropped out.
She might know something that a lot of the other candidates don't know about some time bombs with the budget that the next governor is not going to want to deal with. So maybe she wants to be the next governor.
It's got to be something like that, or someone else is going to get in the race that she's aware of, and she doesn't want to get run over by that train.
For Californians.
She notes the survey also shows 38% of Californians are undecided.
That is a huge percentage, but it is not entirely surprising, given, again, we're having this conversation August of 2025, but also think about where many Californians are. We're focused on D.C., not as much on a race that isn't happening today or tomorrow in terms of who will be the next leader of California.
Well, you look at a lot of the candidates. How are they talking about their runs? They're talking about the issues in D.C. and not the issues in California.
No, that is going to be a constant theme all throughout this race. None of the candidates, with the exception potentially of the Republicans and Caruso, are going to focus on California subjects. All of the Democrats think that by exclusively talking about Donald Trump, that will benefit them in the race.
I got this text message while I was on vacation. They used my real name. Ryan, Stephen Klubeck here, Democrat for California governor. I just dropped my first ad taking on Trump and exposing his ties to Epstein. Would you like to give me money? Isn't that guy a billionaire?
I think he is.
You need my money, Stevie?
Think again.
On Governor Gavin Newsom's plan to redraw California's congressional districts, a move Newsom has said he'll advance to help Democrats pick up U.S. House seats statewide in the 2026 midterm election if Texas Republicans move forward with President Donald Trump's plan to redraw congressional districts in the Lone Star State to pick up 5 GOP U.S. House seats there. This is where Californians stand. A third support Newsom's plan, a quarter are opposed, and 42% unsure.
42% don't know what the hell that meant.
That is not good news for Gavin Newsom, especially when you look at his track record. The last one he got heavily involved with was Prop 36 on the no side, and we ended up passing it by wide margins. Before that, it was Prop 1, which is money for the bums. And he supported that, and it took how many weeks after the election before he finally got over the finish line?
It was very, very, very close. It finally eked out at just over 50%, but that's not good because that one was a full court press, and that one was in the primary. That was the only statewide ballot measure.
I'm still bitter that we're spending more money on the bums.
What we see with that 42% undecided is that there's complexity, there's a lot of unknowns, and there isn't a specific proposal that people are saying thumbs up or thumbs down.
In the 2028 race for president, among hypothetical candidates in the California Democratic primary, as of today, Gavin Newsom would receive the most support, followed by former Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg and former Vice President Kamala Harris.
Kamala comes in third.
It comes as Newsom's approval rating statewide, according to this survey, has shot up to 44%, an 11% increase since April.
Oh, boy.
Wait, his approval is 44%, and that's up 11 points?
Yes.
So he was in the 30s?
Yes.
Well, that's where he belongs.
It's a pretty stark contrast to April.
He has done a good job of making himself part of the nationwide conversation.
Yes, don't pay attention to anything that's going on in California because Gavin's on the national stage.
It's funny. I was having a conversation this morning with a friend who believes that Gavin Newsom will be a very strong candidate in the Democratic primary. And I said, as soon as I heard that Gavin Newsom was leading in the polls, I thought to myself, it was like when Libby Schaaf, the former mayor of Oakland, announced that she was running for treasurer of California. The nerve of that woman. Of all of the people in the state of California who think they deserve to be in charge of the finances of the state, the woman who was mayor of Oakland, a city that is bankrupt, a city that may not be able to meet the payroll, a city that can't fully staff the 911 department, a city that tried to sell the Coliseum to a group of people who haven't paid for it. That person wants to be treasurer of California? The nerve. And I kind of feel the same way about Gavin Newsom. This guy wrecked the state, and now he thinks he deserves a promotion to be president of the United States? The nerve.
What exactly is the record Gavin Newsom is running on?
Well, I think Gavin Newsom is putting all of his chips on the theory that Democrats hate Donald Trump so much, whoever is most visibly opposing him, that's the guy they're going to go with, and the record is irrelevant because that's the only way he's going to get that nomination.
He has done a good job of making himself part of the nationwide conversation.
Notice how Levison doesn't say he's done a good job. He's done a good job of distracting everybody from his job.
That is an accurate statement.
He has done a good job of making himself part of the nationwide conversation. He's also done a good job of positioning himself as really the head of the resistance to the Trump administration. And there are a lot of people in California who like that.
Yeah, none of it has to do with his performance as governor.
Zip.
It's his performance as a podcast star.
And the poll found among hypothetical Republican presidential candidates in the 2028 California primary, Vice President J.D. Vance would come out on top with 40% GOP support. At the state capitol, covering local news that matters, Eitan Wallace, Fox 40 News.
So there you go. There's that latest poll. The big headline is Katie Porter, 18%, Steve Hilton, 12%.
And Gavin Newsom, of course, keeps trying to make himself, as Jessica Levinson described, part of the national conversation. And right now he's doing that by threatening to redraw the district lines for California's congressional seats. We'll have more details on that coming up later on this hour. And Kevin Kiley, who is a congressman from Northern California, the suburbs of Sacramento, who the Democrats are trying to eliminate. They're trying to eliminate his seat out of the delegation. He'll be here to respond to what Gavin Newsom is trying to do. That'll be after the news at 1. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, you're monitoring the mailbag.
Eric the mailman writes in at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. Hey, cool John and hot Randy, I'd love to know who is the 44% supporting Gavin Newsom. Is that an approval rating or the average IQ of voters in this godforsaken state?
A case could be made. And Randy, if you were to go back and listen to an episode from earlier this summer because you were on vacation, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts, whether it's the Apple Podcast app, iHeart, Spotify. Search for The John Phillips Show. Hit subscribe. You can download all the episodes. You can do a Google on the YouTube. You can get the KABC app. You can get the KSFO app. You can travel back in time to when we used to make fun of Kevin De Leon.
It is hot as hell.
Let's go to Cheryl. Cheryl, hello.
Hello. I am myself big on the NFPs, not-for-profits, being audited on a regular basis. And there was a candidate that I heard a wonderful interview a couple of months ago. In his name, he was running for governor. and his name was Chad Bianco. He was the sheriff out of Riverside County. And I was wondering, I don't hear his name anymore. He's not in the running. Do you know?
Well, he's a candidate for governor, and he was polling at what, third or fourth?
He was polling fourth.
Okay, he's polling in fourth place right now. So that's a decent number, but that's out of the money. You need to poll in the top two to make it to the November runoff. We invited him to come on the program. He agreed to come on. We started the segment. He didn't call in. Tricia, who does the booking for this show, tried reaching out to him and his representation. She didn't get a response, so we started a topic, and then he called in late. But we already started the topic, so we said, okay, you can come on at the top of the next hour. He said he had something going on and couldn't do that, so he didn't appear on the program.
I am just so tired of these nonprofits lining their own pockets, and I just wonder, what are they going to do when they run out of our money, when socialism fails, as it always does.
That was one of the big initiatives that Bill Asaley, who's the new U.S. attorney for the Central District of California, appointed by President Trump, he said that he would have in that office. He said he is going to investigate these non-for-profits, specifically the ones that deal with the homeless, because the amount of money, the amount of tax dollars that's being spent on this is going up exponentially, but the number of people living on the streets is also going up. So he wants to know where the money is going. Thank you for the call. The big story, both here in California and nationally, is that Gavin Newsom and the state of Texas are playing a game of chicken. Texas says they're going to redraw their congressional lines. Newsom says he's going to redraw his congressional lines. And now Newsom has just put out a letter saying that he's calling on President Trump to tell Texas to back off, because then Gavin will back off too. Which means Gavin Newsom has internal poll numbers showing that his initiative will not pass. And he's trying to save face. Well, all of this is going on. This topic is a topic that is coming up with some of the candidates for governor here in California, and it came up in an interview with former Orange County Congresswoman Katie Porter when she did a sit-down with CNN.
Please.
Here is that interview.
The Texas House will gavel back into session to pass a GOP gerrymander that the party hopes will flip 5 House seats from blue to red. But for the second straight day, Democrats will block a vote by quite simply skipping it. And without enough Democrats...
Yeah, the Democrat members of the legislature in Texas, they did Gavin's podcast over the weekend.
I saw that at one point they fled the state and went to Illinois, which is one of the most gerrymandered states in the union.
And without enough Democrats in Austin, there will be no quorum and no vote. But if and when Texas Republicans...
Also, you do not want to be in Austin in August. You really don't.
But if and when Texas Republicans manage to muscle through their new map, California Governor Gavin Newsom is warning he's ready to fight back.
Whatever they are doing will be neutered here in the state of California. He recognizes he's going to lose in the midterms, and we have the opportunity to de facto end the Trump presidency.
Did you just say we have an opportunity to defective?
Well, he is defective, so he's speaking the truth.
To de facto end the Trump presidency in less than 18 months. That's what's at stake, and that's why we're putting a stake in the ground. We're not drawing lines to draw lines. We're holding the line on democracy, on the rule of law.
He sounds like a TV preacher all of a sudden. Have you noticed that?
Yep.
And sources are telling me that Democrats think they could knock out 5 Republican incumbents in California if they draw the lines right. But it's a little more complicated than that. Democrats would actually need to change the law to give them that power.
We'd have to have a special election in early November.
And they're going to have to bend the rules to make sure that it happens.
Maybe we can sell the state of California a block show just to explain what this is.
Yeah, good luck with them actually explaining it.
To discuss, I'm joined by former Congresswoman Katie Porter. She's a leading candidate to succeed Newsom in a crowded field to be the Golden State's next governor. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Well, she never disappoints, does she?
Well, let me just save that. I don't think I have one of Katie Porter yet, but I'm going to need it in the future because she's going to be prominently in our lives for at least the next year and a half. Katie Porter. Oh, I do have one. All right, we'll have a new one. Absolutely. 2.
Absolutely.
She kind of had the cadence of Sheng with that, too.
Let's see. Let's double them up here.
Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Told ya.
So, is this the way you would handle this as governor, asking your state's voters to redraw?
By the way, this is going to be the most difficult part for a lot of the people running for governor over the next year and a half is how do you separate yourself from Gavin?
Yeah, they don't want to answer that question. That's like Kamala being on The View, asked what's different about her than Grampy Joe.
The congressional map to help give you 5 more Democratic seats?
Well, I appreciate what Governor Newsom said. The people of California chose a particular approach to redistricting in a different world than we are facing right now. We are seeing Donald Trump engage in lawless activity, mass immigration raids, yanking away federal research funding. And so I think people feel like we have to fight fire with fire. And one thing I really appreciate about this that I want to emphasize is California's approach here is triggered if Texas makes the wrong decision.
It's a Cold War.
If Texas is going to choose to change the rules midstream.
It's the doomsday device from Dr. Strangelove.
Delivered by Katie Porter.
If Texas is going to choose to change the rules midstream, then California is simply responding to that.
So it sounds like
I think that this is a moment.
Gotta love Zoom interviews.
Oh, I've been on that side of it many, many, many times.
This is a moment where I hear from Californians all the time as I'm running for governor. They want a fighter. They want someone who's going to stand up to Donald Trump and stand up to the Republican shenanigans.
Okay, we're all familiar with Katie Porter at this point. What type of person do you think shows up to a Katie Porter campaign rally?
Little D.
Because those are the people she's talking to.
No!
She also hasn't really been doing any campaigning since she was like all the other candidates waiting to see if Kamala's in this thing or not before they spend any money.
Here is a prediction. At these Katie Porter rallies, how much you want to bet it's only minivans in the parking lot? And every single handicap space has an illegally parked minivan in it.
So it sounds like you do support this plan by the governor.
I think that Trump and Texas Republicans are leaving us no choice.
Okay,
they are tinkering with the rules of our democracy.
So Congresswoman, there are already just 9 Republican House members from California. If your party gets its way, it would be just 4 Republicans and 48 Democrats. So is that really a fair representation in your state?
Why, no, it isn't. It's also not fair what Texas is doing.
But Gavin is fighting fire with fire.
Well,
what they're doing is unethical. So we're going to do the same thing.
That's right, because if there's anything Gavin Newsom can't do, it's put out a fire.
Well, let's be honest. Do you think that what Texas has, even right now, is a fair representation in Texas? And we have so many other states I could use as those examples. So we should have
gerrymandering, something that's totally bipartisan.
What's lost in this discussion is that New York already did this midway through. And what the Democrats say is, well, yeah, we drew the lines and yeah, we benefited from it, but don't blame us because it wasn't a Democratic governor that called for it. It was a Democratic judge. What's the difference?
So we should have a national fair approach to this. That's why I supported H.R. 1, the For the People Act in Congress, why I fought for it. But we can.
Did it pass?
Well, that would require her to build relationships and coalitions, which is not her strong suit.
But we cannot allow Trump to rewrite the rules for his personal favor. This isn't about setting thoughtful national policy. That's not what Trump does, not in this context and not in any context. This is about being willing to game a system, to take advantage of the American people, to trample on what they want. And so I think that if Texas would like to have a nonpartisan independent redistricting commission, great. California.
She's getting high-pitched.
She is. Is she speaking to a bunch of elderly people in Orange County?
Great. California will continue to do what we've done. Remember, what California is doing here is being triggered by Donald Trump's actions, by his deep, deep unfairness and destruction of our democracy.
Congresswoman, you mentioned the For the People Act, which you voted for while you were in the House. That bill would actually ban partisan gerrymandering and actually ban mid-decade redistricting as well. And separately, you actually co-sponsored a bill to require states to establish independent redistricting commissions. So
did that pass either? Also, notice how these are what Katie Porter stood for as a member of Congress, but now things are different.
Oh, yeah. Now she wants the partisan vote.
But now it sounds like now that you support with what the governor is talking about here and letting Democrats essentially redraw the maps to choose their voters, it sounds like you're reversing your position, are you not?
She is.
But now this is what suits her.
By the way, good on Manu Raju for pointing this out.
Not at all. Look, when I was in Congress, I was being asked as a legislator, what should our national policy be? And on that issue, I stand by the ideal way to approach this. The way that every state should be required by federal law to do this is to have a nonpartisan independent redistricting commission. That's what I voted for. That's what I support. If you're asking me what I think should be the law of the land today, my answer is exactly the same.
But I want California to do this because it is advantageous to us right now.
What she's not saying and what Newsom's not saying is they think that they can counteract what Texas is going to do. But it's not just Texas. There are other states who are going to do the same thing. Ohio may do it. Indiana may do it. Missouri may do it. The list goes on. The Democrats have already done it in the states that they control. They can't get any more juice out of the squeeze. That's why California is so important to them, because it's just so big, they have more opportunities to squeeze more Republicans out. But if they engage in this game of chicken, they're going to end up as net losers. And if Gavin Newsom takes this ballot initiative to the people and the people vote it down, then not only are they going to be net losers, they're going to be big losers.
But I guess the question people would ask respectfully, people would say, aren't you abandoning your principles to win an election?
Yes.
That's the proper answer.
Not at all. Not at all. I am trying to stand up for what is left of our democracy in a world in which Donald Trump is trying to game and...
My morals and my ethics don't matter because I'm against Trump.
You know what I just realized? Since she is basing her campaign on being an opponent of Donald Trump's, and this is the presentation that she's putting out there, she's almost becoming the ghost of Rosie O'Donnell. It's back to Trump versus Rosie.
Is trying to game and cheat the system again and again. The people of California made a choice. I made a choice with H.R. 1 to support a system for the whole country. California made a choice trying to lead the way for our democracy.
And screw what the voters of California passed 20 years ago.
Which, by the way, is not a fair drawing of the lines. Republicans got something like 40% of the statewide vote for House of Representatives elections, and they have a fraction of the seats. If you drew it fair, Republicans would have more seats. From her point of view, it's fair because it benefits the Democrats.
But if what we're going to see is other states change their rules, then California voters have an equal right to Texas to decide to change their rules. And that's what Newsom's talking about, giving California voters...
This is like the Angels saying, what the Houston Astros are going to keep cheating, so are we.
The opportunity to rethink how they want to do this in light of the unprecedented and deeply unfair world that we are in.
Congresswoman, the former governor, Arnold Schwarzenegger, is reportedly preparing to fight California Democrats on this. And as you know, he championed and oversaw the California ballot initiative establishing independent redistricting in 2008. A spokesman for him told Politico that California is on a, quote, race to the bottom by responding to Texas. Do you agree that? I know that you agree with what the governor, Gavin Newsom, is talking about here, but are you concerned that California may be in a race to the bottom here?
I think that the person who's at the bottom and keeps digging a deeper and deeper hole in which to chuck our democracy is Donald Trump.
Oh, boy.
This is what we're going to get from her. This is all we're going to get from her. She doesn't care about any state issues. She cares about hating on Donald Trump, and that is going to be what she campaigns on.
She's the front runner.
Remember, again, California's potential change is only triggered by what Texas decides to do. They can step.
They started it.
They can step back. They can stop this mid-decade redistricting. They can stop this unfair gerrymandering, and California will continue to be what we've always been, which is the tip of the spear, leading the way on best practices.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. Seriously? I don't know if I can put up with this for 8 years. We are really going to go from the frying pan to the fire if this woman gets elected.
Like, please.
Kevin Kiley coming up after the news at 2, not 1. I read the schedule wrong. Or I actually...
Did you read
the
it?
Schedule. Well, I did read it, but I guess I remembered it incorrectly. I don't know.
Let's go back to Katie Porter on CNN as she was asked a very important question.
Congresswoman, of course, you're hoping to lead the nation's most populous state and would be one of the top leaders in your party if you do win that race. But poll after poll shows your party, Democrats, at historic levels of disapproval from the American public. I'm wondering, why have voters lost trust in your party?
I think voters across the political spectrum want people who are straight shooters, who are honest about the challenges that we face, and know...
Wait, didn't you spend this entire interview flip-flopping on an issue you said you cared about?
Yes, she did.
And know what it's like to push a grocery cart.
Here we go.
Always comes down to food.
And know what it's like to push a grocery cart, to pay that bill, to worry about the cost of childcare. I have been talking about economic issues, about how hard it is for families to make ends meet, and I do it from the very personal perspective of being a single mom of 3 kids who drives a minivan, who has to...
Back to the minivan, too.
Who has to think about how I'm going to afford to repair it when it breaks down, as it currently is, actually. So
well, you know what? When you have subsidized housing from the government, you can afford a car repair bill.
How hard does she ride that minivan?
Who has to think about how I'm going to afford to repair it when it breaks down, as it currently is, actually. So I think people...
How bald are those tires?
I bet you she passes people on the right, on the shoulder. She must pick up so many nails